program has at its heart a real personal story about why the company cares about what it cares about. And it's essential and integral to the company and its character and its original founding. So the goal is, how do we link the sustainability strategy to the essential purpose and mission of a company? But importantly, it has to be reframed then. Once we get a handle on that sort of head and heart story, it has to be reframed so that it's relevant in today's world. There are many macro forces impinging on companies and organizations' ability to deal with some of the sustainability strategies that they're putting out in the world. We need to reframe what companies are doing in the context of the trends and forces out in the world. And then being able to look inside every organization, across the entire organization, and ensure that operational initiatives are culled and revealed as proof points for a wide sustainability strategy. So that's the role of public relations inside an organization, in my belief. But I think that there are imperatives that a sustainability communications and public relations program needs to pay attention to. And I'm going to tick through a few of those and tell you what I think is shaping public relations and how the sustainability, the growth of sustainability as a business imperative is changing how public relations and communications professionals deal with their programs. The first is, it's our responsibility to shape an authentic conversation about the business transformation that's happening. Every day, people inside companies and organizations are making smart choices about how to improve product material sourcour, how to reduce energy consumption. All of those things are part of the sustainability story that we will craft for our clients and our companies. We need to pay attention to and ensure that those messages and stories are aimed at all stakeholders and not just shareholders. We're seeing the rise of the power of customers, employees, partners, suppliers, legislators, NGOs. All of those stakeholders are critically important in sustainability communications. And I believe that we are moving toward a place where we have to be able to talk about the total cost of business, from environmental true cost accounting to social impacts. And we as communicators have got to get smart and savvy about what those total costs are and how to communicate them in context with the financial stories of our companies and organizations. In my view, financial capital and social capital are becoming more equal, and the company's financial story is as important as its social footprint and social impacts. And then lastly, we all know that stakeholder requirements for more and more information is driving our responsibility in providing authentic communications. Transparency is the other imperative that's shaping the public relations industry within sustainability. Every bit of research that I read indicates how much customers, employees, and all stakeholders are demanding more than profits from companies. The National Marketing Institute just revealed its latest 2010 research around consumer attitudes, and in their view, every company is beginning to permeate their messaging with their sustainability story. They're seeing that the consciousness and purchasing behavior of consumers across the globe, is they're looking at company and product messaging, that every bit of it has there's a beginning of a green or sustainability story that's popping up everywhere. According to BBMG, their look at consumer attitudes in 2009, 77% of U.S. customers believe they can make a positive difference purchasing from companies that are both socially and environmentally conscious. And what I'm finding interesting about what the research is revealing is, a year or two ago, the research talked about consumers' attitudes around environmental stewardship. We're beginning to see in the late last year, early this year, the rise of awareness around socially conscious companies too. So the social impacts are becoming more important and aligned with environmental stewardship. According to CSR Europe, 51% of the world's consumers consider it important that companies improve their environmental policies, but right behind that, 42% place a high importance on their social responsibility too. So the interconnectedness now around environmental and social responsibility is really growing. I believe that as communications professionals and for those responsible for communicating a company's sustainability strategy, what we lack is a shared language of what I call a language of goodness. We've all are very familiar with financial nomenclature when it comes to communicating profitability and rate of return and PE ratios. We all understand financial language and nomenclature very well. What we lack is a shared familiarity and nomenclature for describing the social impacts, and we're beginning to see some agreed upon standards for communicating environmental impacts. What I'm most interested in is how we talk about the social impacts. There's a social footprint initiative growing. We have Fourth Sector and B Corporation, which are initiatives aimed at talking about the social and environmental impacts of a company in collaboration with its financial returns. So we're seeing the blurring of lines and language around for-profits and non-profits, and we're beginning to see people use a new set of language when it comes to talking about companies' purpose, their mission, their sort of triple bottom line. And I think that we're at the very, very early days of creating a language, and it's exciting as a communicator to begin thinking about how do we talk authentically and transparently about this dimension of a business in a way that we can all agree upon. So I think that's exciting as communicators. Where do I think public relations is going today and how it's especially important for communications around sustainability? If we look at the pressing problems and exciting opportunities that are in front of us to address these macro environmental and social issues that are facing corporations and as businesses are seen as an important tool in creating some of the problems or fixing some of the problems that have been created in the world, we have to find ways to use communications to accelerate the positive change in the world. So I believe that it's the responsibility of communications professionals and public relations people to do a couple of things. One, it's our job to ensure that we're communicating facts that are relevant, clear, authentic, and transparent. And I start with its facts. It's about the facts of how companies are addressing their own environmental and social challenges, how they're meeting those challenges, how they are systemically and over time addressing them. In the same way that we provide financial guidance as a company, we want to provide our environmental and our social guidance and quarter over quarter how we're doing in meeting those objectives. But additionally, because people are so bombarded with information and facts, it's our job to craft the narrative that makes these facts accessible and inspirational and also shareable, and I'm going to talk about that in just a minute. It's important that the narrative that we create, why all these facts make sense, why all these facts have meaning, how they are adding up to something bigger and solving bigger and bigger problems. So the narrative has to be accessible, inspirational, and shareable. And then lastly, I think it's the role of public relations to always be creating and updating the backstory, because what happens is people, they might want to understand not only why you're doing what you're doing, but why you're doing what you're doing, and how the company's dealing with certain challenges, or why certain products were selected, or why a certain transportation methodology was adopted versus another. So there's always a backstory around what a company's doing in its environmental and social solutions, and it's the role of public relations to provide that backstory, all the background, so that in a sense any stakeholder who wants more information sort of double click on a particular fact and see the information and the communications behind it. But the shareability of this information is what's most important from a communication standpoint, and then I believe we have to create messages that allow the thousands upon thousands of influencers to take our story and communicate it forward for us. It's not a mass media world anymore. It's a mass of multiple influencers, and our job as communicators is to give the story in discrete, compact, shareable messages that influencers can forward. It creates and empowers advocates that we use the communications to recruit customers, employees, influencers, and loyalists who help and care about the mission, the sustainability mission of our organization as much as we do and help advance it. And then always the communications are designed so that it's two-way. We need to hear back from all of the stakeholders as to how we're doing and what we can be doing better. So there's a lot of tools that are available to us as public relations and professionals and communicators, and we know we've got news releases, we've got pitches and campaigns and advertising and social media, and we're going to spend the rest of our time together here really digging into the social media and blogging realm in particular. I think that another tool we have is we can create tangible change in the world when we activate our virtual communities.